friends. Welcome to Area 51 Racing Podcast, episode number 34. I am your host, Rob. Unfortunately, our regular host, Bobby, is not able to make it tonight. And our other co-host, Dave, also is not able to make it. So I am your host for this evening. Tonight, we have two true grassroots racers from the South that are our guests, Davey Smart and Bo Messer. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the Area 151 Racing Podcast.
Hello, Robert. Good to be here.
All right. Glad to have you guys. So, like I talked before we went live, we'll just have a conversation, go back and forth. I'll start with you, Bo, if you want to go ahead and just tell me about yourself and how you got started in racing.
Yeah, my brother actually started racing probably in the mid to late 70s at Asheville Speedway here at home. Started helping him around 81. I was probably 14, 15 years old, and caught the bug and couldn't kick it. So helped him until I was probably 19, 20 years old. Kind of got away from it a little bit. He quit driving and started building cars here in Asheville. And I was working for my dad doing heating and air and started a family. And so it was a few years before I got back into racing. And I think I was probably 23, 24 when I actually started driving, and here locally at Asheville, and started in the rookie division and just kind of worked my way up through the divisions. And I think I quit at Asheville in 94. There again, got away from racing again. And a friend of ours, Gary Moore, had a Goody Stash car. And he was good enough to let me drive it in a few races on and off through the 90s. And ended up becoming friends with Tate Lyda, and he had a late model sportsman car, late model stock car. Drove it for him for a year or so, and ended up driving some in the UARA series. And then we stepped away from racing again for a period and got to driving a late model truck in the Southeast Super Truck series, and did that for a few years. And my son, Bradley, was interested in starting to drive, and we bought two Legends cars and ran them at Anderson, South Carolina, and at Tri-County for a couple of years. Had a ball doing that. And we own our own business, so we, again, had to step away from racing to take care of our business. And had the opportunity this year to get in an outlaw late model at Tri-County. Thanks to Shane and Chad Higgins, we were able to put that together. And so that's what I'm currently doing. Been in racing for 40 plus years. My wife's father raced with my brother, so we met at the racetrack, which made it a lot easier relationship. When I did race, it wasn't hard to do. She's very supportive of it, and so just helping my brother, then driving, and just being around friends like Davey. If I wasn't racing, usually I would help him, and just a good lifetime experience for me, being around a racetrack and being around the competitors.
Yeah, that sounds like a long 40 plus years in racing. And you know what they say, if you have $1 million in your race, you're minus $1 million, basically. Racing is so expensive, but it sure is fun. And once you get that bug, you can't break that. So
you can't. It's most of my friends that I have through my life were from the racetrack. More so than anywhere else, and good friends. And like I say, it just the families were involved in racing, and it it just made it easier to do. When I was able to do it, it was fun.
So Davey, tell us about yourself and how you got involved in racing.
Well, back in the 80s, I guess, my dad run a rookie car at Asheville Speedway. And I mean, I go with him and I loved it. And as a little boy, it's funny because I mean, his brother just lived right off the road from me. And on Friday night, I would walk down the road and stand at his driveway and just watch him pull out to go to the racetrack. You know, I mean, I was just a kid and I had to walk back home. But started racing in '88 at Asheville. Started in limited stock. You know, I think we won in '89 and '90 pretty quickly, and moved up to super stock there, and run it till '95, and got out, quit racing for about 4 years. Had some things come up in my life, and Bo helped me build another car, and I run the last year at Asheville in '99 with that car. And then Asheville closed down, and started running Newport Speedway in Tennessee, and with that same car. And then we moved up to limited late model and run that for a while. And still, I run the super trucks with Bo. I don't know, probably 3 years, and that sort of fizzled out. And I got back in a limited late model at Anderson Speedway and had pretty good luck down there. Had won some races, and you know, could have maybe won a championship, but I had some surgeries I had to take care of, and it knocked me out for a while. But run that limited car, and then Tri-County opened back up, and I bought me a street stock car, and we've had quite a bit of success with it. I run there for 3 years now, or this is our 4th year, and I've won a couple of championships there. But it's just been a lifelong thing. I mean, I've run more miles up and down the road, Bo. I mean, we've been to Homestead, Florida, and all over the Southeast. I mean, I don't know how many tracks we've been to, but we've done a lot of racing together.
So is there like a competition between the two of you guys, like just friendly competition about, you know, for bragging rights or anything like that?
Nah.
Nah, we've never been that competitive. We've raced against each other a lot, but we've never managed to get into any trouble together. We've always been clean.
But at Super Stocks at the river down there, he'd come down there and wax us. I mean, he'd check out. He was good.
So both of you guys have been in racing for a long time, and from what I've seen and read, you guys both have had a lot of success at different levels of racing. So what do you guys attribute that success to? Davey, you go ahead first. You can answer that.
I just surround yourself with good people. You know, through the years, Bo's helped me so much. I mean, just build cars and set up cars and help me at the racetrack spot for me. And then, you know, you got people like Tate and LJ. I mean, here the last 4 years, I couldn't have done it without them. Alliance Driveway Solutions. I mean, they've helped me tremendously, and they help so many. They got, I don't know, 12, 14 race cars they sponsor. They sponsor a bunch. And Jeremy Clements. I mean, you know, you just got to surround yourself with good people. It makes you look good if you do.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The better the people you have around you, the better the positive energy and the better you are going to do.
I've got some good guys, you know, that helps me at the racetrack. Rick Ferris, I mean, he's good. Bill Husky, I mean, they help me a lot. I mean, you know, just making sure your stuff's prepared and set up right. I mean, it goes a long way at the racetrack.
Yeah, racing isn't an individual sport. It's definitely a team sport. I mean, a lot of people that don't know, that haven't been involved behind the scenes, that sitting in the stands, I don't think they really realize everything that goes into it, from, you know, the setup to, you know, making sure that the car, you got it, you know, the weight and and the cross and all that kind of stuff, and your stagger's right, and you know, all that kind of stuff. You got, you know, they don't have it. You can't do that by yourself as a driver. You have to have somebody else help you. I mean, just
You gotta have
so.
good people behind you.
Yep, 100%. So, what about you, Bo? Same question there.
I think probably being around my brother and the guys that helped him early on, watching and learning, being aware of how they did things. A lot of my brother's early success was because of a guy named Larry Ingram, which was Jack Ingram's brother. Very intelligent, self-taught individual that was just phenomenal when it came to geometry and how chassis worked and stuff like that. And I was fortunate enough that he actually helped me on one of my Superstock cars. And just Charlie Presley, Robert's brother, helped my brother for a couple of years, and just a guy named Sam Watts. Just seeing those guys work and how thorough and hard they worked on things. And at that time, in the early to mid 80s, we didn't have the parts and pieces that people have available to them now. A lot of it we made ourselves. And, you know, if you got an advantage on somebody, it was because of hard work. It wasn't money. You know, you found it yourself, and you tried to keep it to yourself as long as you could. And I think that, you know, and watching people race, you know, I grew up, my brother was my hero at the racetrack, but other than him, probably some of the guys that I watched and try to pattern my driving style off of was probably Butch Lindley. You know, I've never seen another driver as smooth and fast as Butch was. He was phenomenal on a short track. I don't know that there's anybody that's been as good or better than him ever. So just keeping my eyes open and watching people and trying to learn from good people. And I was fortunate enough to have the ability to work on my own cars, so I didn't have to depend on a lot of help. So, like I say, just the work ethic and the thoroughness of preparing a race car, I think, helped me more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize, that they think you need an engineer to be with you. I mean, it is important to some aspect, but there are guys that Mark Martin's a prime example.
Yep.
Not an engineer.
No,
he was a genius.
Yes.
At, you know, setting up his race car, and you know, the chassis. I can't remember if it was Howard Dillon, where they actually he told them, I will go with you. I think it was Howe. I will go with you, but you got to let me build, you know, the chassis, have a say in how it's built. Yeah. And he had it set up for the left side weight was like a little bit more on his car than the ones that they produced for everybody else.
Yeah.
He told us during our podcast. Yeah. And I thought that was ingenious, that, you know, true, a guy that has no engineering, you know, degree or anything was able to work on his own cars just by watching and learning.
Yep.
And putting himself in a position with good people, like you both were saying, yep, to be successful. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that now, currently, in this racing at this current time, because there's so much more technology available, computers and whatever. Yes. That these newer drivers, younger drivers coming into the sport, majority of them just show up. They aren't working on their cars. They're not actually taking the time to learn, yes, how that car works and how to set it up and stuff. And I think, unfortunately, there are some, that do that, which is a good thing. But I think that's sadly becoming a lost art because it is a lot of work and a lot of dedication.
It is, and uh, I'm running a Port City car, an older Port City car at Tri-County, and it had been several years since I had worked on a super late model, and we were close on what I knew, but we decided to take it to Port City and let them go through it one week, and it really opened my eyes to the technology that has evolved and come about in the last 20 years. And you have to take advantage of that technology or you're going to be behind.
Oh, absolutely.
Technology is a good thing, but you have to be able to apply it. And I had to do some catch-up work. I was behind.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, I mean, back in the day, I don't think they had spring raters where you put the machine in and it compressed the spring, or they had the pull down rigs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's all newer things, but the drivers like Mark Martin and back in that day,
Yeah,
they were able to figure out a way to do it.
they
So
were ahead of
right.
the rest of the guys.
Yeah, Dick Trickle is another one here from
Oh, yeah.
Wisconsin, and another driver, one of my favorite drivers.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable intelligence. I mean,
Yes.
you know, and yeah, it's pretty amazing how you look back at, you know, back in the 70s, 80s, when racing, like we were talking before we went live, when racing was, you know, like in its heyday, and our, you know,
Yeah.
and it's different now.
Different,
So,
very
but
different.
so for both of you guys, who are your role models? And you sort of alluded to that, Bo, but who are your role models growing up in racing and currently in racing?
Yeah. Probably before my brother, probably Richard Petty, I would say more than anybody. How he carried himself, how he, you know, treated his family. You know, a pretty clean cut, well mannered, well spoken person, and a good race car driver at the same time. Then as I came on in life and started going to the racetrack with my brother, he definitely was my hero and my idol. And I based a lot of stuff on my driving style and stuff from him, from watching him. And like I say, people like Butch Lindley, Harry Gant, maybe, just some of the guys that you could see race, you know, all year long with the same body on the car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe have to replace a fender or something, but you know, those guys could race 80 races a year with one car and race each other hard and respect each other. And so that's probably was my inspiration more than anything, and what I tried to pattern myself off of was those guys.
How about you, Davey? Who is your role model or role models?
Well, back when I was a kid at the river, I really enjoyed watching Butch. I mean, he was probably one of the best there was. And one thing, I mean, you know, as a kid, things that stands out in your mind. I mean, I remember Butch. He'd actually talk to you. You know, I mean, you go down in the pits after the race, and I mean, he'd talk to you. You know, and but Butch, and back in the late 80s, early 90s, I mean, I was an Earnhardt fan, big. I mean, you know, but him, Mike Messer, both brothers. I mean, like I said, he is one of my heroes, and Ronnie Silvers. I really liked Ronnie. You know, he's a super good guy. But I mean, there's so many drivers that grew up watching. I mean, all of them had their you know, stuff that you liked about them. I mean, Jack and Bob, and it's just hard to say. I mean, but Butch was one of my favorites.
Okay, so you both have your own businesses that you run, and obviously families. So how do you balance your business, your family, and your racing, and still be successful at all? I guess, Davey, you can go first. It looks like Bo nudged you there.
Well, right now I'm raising a little young, and I'm foster dad for a 2-year-old, and I mean he takes up a lot of time, and I mean I love every moment with him. And Mindy, she's very supportive of my racing. I just, I probably don't get to the shop as much right now as I need to, but as far as business, I mean I'm in the towing business, and I mean it's sometimes you have to go 24 hours a day. I mean, whenever they call. I mean, but I don't know. You just learn how to put everything in perspective and do what you need to do and be what you need to be to, your family and whatever. I mean, you just have to roll with it, Just hey, everything just sort of falls into place what it needs to.
Bo, what about you?
I've been fortunate the last few years to have my son to kind of help me on our business end. We're partners, so he takes a big load of that. Sometimes if I need to work in the shop during the day, I can do that now where I couldn't before. One thing my brother and some of the other older racers kind of taught me early on was, always put your family and your finances first and racing behind that. I probably wasn't as successful following that advice, because I think if you're going to be a truly successful race car driver, you have to sacrifice that. I've seen it through my life, with successful drivers and even successful crew members, crew chiefs. That sacrifice is great. And if you're not prepared to do that, you'll suffer some of the success. You'll miss some of it. But as much as I love racing, I've always tried to keep my family and my business first, and racing behind it. So,
what kind of business do you own?
I do heating and air conditioning.
Oh, that's right. You did mention that. I'm sorry. Yeah, heating, air conditioning. So,
but like I say, I'm like Davey said, that balance is what you want it to be. If you have to spend the extra hours at night after you get through working, that's what you do. But it's a tough line to follow. Like I say, I've seen people sacrifice their whole lives and everything they've ever had, families, children, to try to win races. And sometimes they do that and it still don't happen. And they lose on both ends. And I never wanted to put myself in that situation.
Yeah, unfortunately that does happen. I mean, like I was saying before, we went live. I was involved on a race team and for several years, and you saw that happen. In fact, the gentleman, the team that I was on, that happened with him. He ended up getting divorced and lost his house, and
yeah.
It's sad. I mean, I guess it's like we were saying, it's a risk reward thing, and it's depends on how much risk you want to take for the reward. So
definitely.
The big news lately in NASCAR was Austin Dillon in the Cup Series about was it 2 weeks ago at Richmond, to win the race. He wrecked Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin and then won the race. But now NASCAR penalized him, took the playoff deal away, and he's doing an appeal or whatever. But my main point is to ask both of you gentlemen, you guys have been in racing a long time at the grassroots level. If something like that happened at your level, how would you view it, number one? And number two, how would you deal with that?
Go ahead. I'll let you do it first.
Man,
You've been in situations more than I have.
I've had it happen in like the first 15 laps of a race, but I don't know. I think he went. That was a little excessive. I mean, well, it was excessive. He but I don't know. In them situations at that level, I know getting into that playoff deal means so much for the team, so much for the money. Uh, so I sort of get that, but I mean that did go too far. But like I said, it's happened to me, not even at the end of a race. And it'll make you mad. I mean, but we grew up racing where if you done that stuff to the wrong person, I mean, you'd have a fight on your hand. Some of these little short tracks we was at. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I remember like going to Anderson. I mean, that was a mean place back in the day, and we was just kids racing there. But anyway, if it's happened to me, and I've been in some arguments, but I mean, I don't know. You can't afford to retaliate these days. I mean, as much stuff costs, get a lot of stuff tore up. I mean, but there again, at that level, I mean, it ain't costing that driver nothing, I mean, it's just, and you see it trickle down like in the car store. I mean, they tear up a lot of stuff there. I'm even seen it at Tri-County Speedway and down to the limited late models. I mean, a lot of, like we was talking about, I mean, these kids now, I mean, they don't have to work on these cars. They don't have no money in these cars. Their daddies does, or somebody flipping the bill. I mean, they don't even. I don't know. It's just the way things have changed. Racing's changed over the years, and I think you're going to see a lot more of it in the future.
Yeah, I think money talks, and talent's not as important anymore. Unfortunately.
So, yeah, you're right. You're right. I think a lot of it has, and I say this kind of, it's kind of an odd situation that NASCAR has put themselves in. They went there for a long time, probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, probably early 2000s, where they didn't want anybody touching anybody on the racetrack. No bumping, no bump and run, whatever. And it got boring. Well, then here in the last 5-6 years, they've all of a sudden opened up the aggressiveness and, to try to be more exciting to the fans. And it's hard to let drivers go and then rein them back in. As a driver and you're sitting in that race car, you can't always make that judgment call sitting in that seat because of your emotions. If you do get an opportunity, yeah, it's tempting to take it, especially with the pressure that they have on them to perform now with the money and the prestige that they get. But I think it's, and we talked to this before we went online, the younger kids that are coming up through the go-karts and the bandoleros and legends, sprint cars, there again, the money's driving those talented kids, and they're being taught to not necessarily race with the guy, but to do whatever it takes to get past him. And I think there's a loss between racing and wrecking. It takes zero talent to wreck somebody. It takes a lot of talent to drive by somebody. And I think they miss that now more than they did 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. There are two things. So Kevin Harvick said his son Keelan called him. I don't know if you saw his post on social media this week. Keelan called him like within a minute after the race, he said, and said, "Hey, Dad, what Austin Dillon did, is that okay? Can I do that?" And that right there, I mean, Kevin Harvick is like, absolutely not. That's not the right thing to do. You race clean to win. But if his son is thinking that immediately, then all these other kids that are racing are thinking that they got to be thinking that,
Right.
and like we were saying before we went on, racing, these video games and stuff, they can push a reset button, or even on iRacing, you can come into the pits and use a fixed damage and then go back out on the track, and that's just not reality.
No. And I'll tell you something else that's different now than before is, and Davey can attest to this just from our years of watching people that we love to watch race, our heroes, blocking is a thing now. That's a thing that we didn't have to deal with. If when we were coming up through the ranks, if you blocked somebody, you got crashed. If a guy's fast enough to get to your bumper, he's probably faster than you, and he'll probably drive by you at some point. A lot of wrecks that are happening right now are caused by the car in front, not because of the car behind them.
Yeah, that is true. The other thing I was going to say is that with the Austin Dillon thing, the pressure and the amount of money that was on the line, I think it was on Door Bumper Clear. They were saying by him winning that race and being put in the playoffs, it was like $1 million+ difference to where now they took it away from him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can see to that extent where they haven't had success. Austin hadn't won in, I don't know, a couple of years, maybe it was. I think it was Texas the last time he won. And then, that pressure with your sponsors, his grandpa, I mean, rumor that he's not going to be in the car next year, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That, I can understand you're going to do whatever you can at all costs to win, but at the same time, that's your reputation. And with your fellow driver, competitors, you're sending a message. I mean, look at Ross Chastain from, like a year or two ago, where he was getting involved in all those wrecks and stuff.
Yeah. And
he was getting a bad rap. And, that stuff follows you around, and you're going to, at some point, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass because you're going to get paid back for it.
Yeah.
So,
but don't forget.
No. And I was saying, like at the short track level where you guys race, Bowman Gray, the Madhouse, I mean, is a prime example of what happens if that, like Austin Dillon's thing happened, like on the short track. I mean, maybe that's a little bit extreme because that is like a weekly occurrence, it seems like there.
And they promote that too.
Right. They do promote it. And and now that NASCAR bought that track and now the Clash is going to be there, I'm interested to see how that's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are we going to have like a demo derby and a brawl out in the infield, but either way, but to get back to the point, it's just, what, in my opinion, I get what Austin was doing, the win at no cost thing, but at the same time, you can't do that. No. And I get why they're appealing it and stuff, but it's just, it's just not good for your image. And he's not paying for it. It's his grandpa's money. I mean, so, and then like at you guys' level, you guys are paying for it. It's your car, and the money's coming out of your pocket, and it's coming, the work to repair it's coming out of, your time and your teammates or your crew's time. So, I don't know. It just seems these kids, like you're saying, Davey, these kids nowadays coming up, daddy's money or whoever's money is paying for them to be in that ride. And their mentality is, I'm going to win at all costs and I don't care.
Yes.
I'll wreck you on lap 1.
Yes.
And I've seen that actually in the Xfinity series. I think it was Indy. Jeremy Clements got wrecked by Sam Mayer on the first lap in turn 3. They didn't even make a lap, and he wrecked him. And I was like, and I like Sam Mayer. He's from Wisconsin, and I met him multiple times. He just a young driver. He just I don't get it. You see that sometimes in the Xfinity series, a lot of time in the truck series, they're trying to win the race in the first 5 laps of the race. It is like you got 150 laps to go here. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, and like you said, Davey, you've been wrecked before in the first 15 laps of a race. It's like just use your head, drive in front of the in front of your bumper, pay attention, listen to your spotter. So I don't know. I guess we'll move on from that topic. I think we beat that. I think we beat that to like a dead horse. So, but so you guys, you alluded to your favorite driver, Bo, about in NASCAR, like your idol Richard Petty and stuff. But are there any other drivers for either of you guys that are your favorite drivers, and why are they your favorite drivers, current or former?
I was a real big Marty Ward fan. I mean, he passed away last year. Marty, I like just hanging out with Marty. He was so much fun, and I mean, I got more short track favorite drivers than I do, cup drivers. You know, Jeremy Clements. I think the world of Jeremy Clements. I mean, he's doing a lot. He's done a lot for me this week, but um, like I said, I got more short track drivers that I look up to than cup drivers.
So when you said Jeremy is doing something for you this week, you told me about it before we went live. So why don't you tell our listeners and viewers what he's doing, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. My brother passed away in 2019, and this year at Daytona, this weekend at Daytona, he's running a sticker in memory of my brother on his car, and it just means a lot to me.
That's awesome, and that's the type of person Jeremy Clements is.
Oh yeah.
Him and his family are down to earth, humble, great people. Everybody on his team, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mark's a good guy, the crew chief. I mean,
yep.
That whole deal, I've hung out with them at the racetrack. I mean, they're all good people.
Yeah, they're all hardworking. They, and that's, even with this stretch of bad luck, they never gave up. I mean, they could have just mailed it in and said, screw it. And they didn't. They don't. They keep grinding, they keep going, and they do whatever they can and keep a positive attitude as best as they can. And they help out like other people, and like our podcast, we were on Jeremy's car as an associate sponsor at Pocono this year. And we were doing the before race pictures, and Jeremy on his own goes over by the car and kneels down and points at our logo. We didn't even ask him to do it. Me and Bobby, our host, were at the race, and we just both looked at each other and like, holy cow, I can't believe he just did that. So then we got a picture with him where we knelt down with him and did the same thing. So, I mean, that was really cool. And we got invited to the team dinner that night or the night before, and it just such great people. I mean, Spartan Waste guys, Mark and Ryan from Fox Sports Spartanburg, they were the primary sponsors on that car. And I mean, just we've said it multiple times that even the partners that they have, like Tate and LJ with Alliance Driveway Solutions, everybody's like a family. Everybody is so nice. Everybody gets along well, and everybody's on the same page. There's no, negativity. They all want Jeremy and his family to do the best as possible.
Yep.
I mean, they're like David versus Goliath in the Xfinity series. They're a small, independently owned team going up against, Junior Motorsports and, Colleague and those other teams. So, yeah, so that is absolutely a really cool thing that Jeremy and his team are doing in memory of your brother. And, and I'm sorry for your brother's loss, but that's a huge honor and memory for Jeremy to do that for you.
he raced a little bit, and you know, and he always talked about, you know, he always wanted to go to Daytona, you know, what it'd be like to go around through there, which Bo has. But and I just, him to do that, I just can't thank him enough for it. It really means a lot.
Are you going to be able to go to the race this weekend in Daytona or no?
I wished I could. Gotta work, I guess.
Yeah. So Bo, how about you? Who are your idols?
Like I say, I really didn't have that many growing up. Like I say, my brother, and then, you know, Richard Petty was a big idol for me. I thought, you know, if anybody was going to be a race car driver, that's the way they needed to be, you know, like him. Probably later on in life, I'm going to say my second, I don't know if I'd call him an idol, but somebody that I thought was a class act and a professional was Alan Kulwicki. He would probably be number two. I was looking forward to what he was going to do. Um, I think we would have all been amazed if he hadn't got killed.
Yeah, I know it's hard for you to see, but I'm a huge Alan Kulwicki fan,
Oh,
being
yeah.
from Wisconsin, and he grew up not too far away from where I live.
Okay.
And
All right.
that case over there is every one of his diecast.
Great.
And I got prints and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I agree. He went down, and within, was it 4 years? I think it was 5 years, won a
Yeah.
championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think about that.
And he goes right back to what I was talking to earlier about what I was taught young is good work ethic, work hard, figure it out on your own, and try to keep your secrets as long as you can.
Yep.
And he made it work. And no, you know, he was the first independent to really make that work. And he was the last one. So we won't see talent like that again. I don't think.
No, I don't. I sadly don't think so either. Davey Allison is another one that
Yeah.
I think he was, if he was around too longer, it would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
Sadly, both of them passed away and shortly within one another, and but yeah, it's I don't know, it's just crazy when you think about some of the racers that, like Tim Richmond, another one,
Yeah.
what he could have did and stuff. So again, back in the day when racing was truly, in my opinion, racing. So
You got it. You got it.
so we talked about your favorite drivers. What about, what's your favorite NASCAR track? And then I'll ask, what is your favorite track that you currently raced on or have raced on?
Gosh, probably my favorite NASCAR track to go to and watch a race is probably Charlotte. I've always liked Charlotte. Seen some really good races there through the years. It's not easy to get around. You have to have some talent and have to have a good car. Probably Charlotte's my favorite NASCAR track. My favorite track that I've driven on probably was Asheville Speedway because it was my home track and I had more success there than I did anywhere else. But traveling around and racing some of the circuits, I would say probably my next favorite track was Peach State in Georgia.
Okay.
That I adapted to that track quick, and it was a lot of fun. People really had tried to intimidate me, and I almost intimidated myself before I got there about how fast it was. But once we were on it and racing, it was just, man, it felt like home. It was just it was easy to get around, and it was the right size for the speed. Good racetrack to race on.
How about you, Davey?
Well, my favorite, I guess I've ever raced on would be Asheville Speedway. I mean, nobody, unless you run around through there, you just don't realize. I mean, it was narrow and it was fast and it was a dang circle the whole time, wasn't it? But probably Asheville Speedway. I've had, I like. There's a bunch of them that I've run on that I really like. I mean, Bristol's my favorite cup track or big track, and I've got to race there, and so is Bo. And but I've had success at Tri County and Anderson and even Newport Speedway. It's fixing to open back up. That's a fun place to go. I mean, it's a little boring, but it's high maintenance, quick, and things happen in a hurry. But it's a fun place to go.
So when you said Bristol Speedway, did you race your street stock on there?
It was like a limited late model.
Yeah.
Limited late model?
Yeah.
What was that for, like a special race or a touring race?
It was a special race that was running with wasn't it running with the Legends?
Mhm.
That it was a deal from Lonesome Pine Speedway that we raced at and went down there, and then I got to race there. I've raced there twice. And I even got to go down there when they had the Legend guys, Kelly Yarborough and Jack and all of them was there. I got to practice with them that week, and I can't remember that guy's name. It was a professional football player, and I can't think of his name right now, that drove my car in that. But it's a neat deal just to get to hang out with all them guys. Them was the racers. Them were real race car drivers, and that was back there for that special race.
That's awesome. Bristol's one of my favorite tracks as well. I'm a short track guy. I love Bristol. That's on my bucket list to go to that night race. So hopefully that and Darlington is my other track that bucket list track. So, what about you, Bo?
Like I say, Charlotte's my favorite as far as NASCAR, but like Davey's talking about Asheville, because it was our home track. We spent more time there and more laps, and it was comfortable. It was a comfortable place to go on Friday nights, and we had a lot of competition. Was always good. You could race all the way around the racetrack, and it was a lot of fun. And like I say, Peach State was a good track for me, and Tri-County is too. Tri-County is a wonderful place, very raceable all the way around. You can
That's
2-3 wide and do it comfortably. And for a 14th mile track, it's a good show.
That's probably the nicest racetrack in the country right now. Shane and Chad Higgins, they've done excellent with that place.
So I should have clarified when I asked Bo. I meant what did you race at Bristol?
Oh, at Bristol?
Yeah.
The same car, like a limited late model. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I went up to help Davey work on his car, and one of the guys
was at the driver's meeting.
Yeah, we were at the driver's meeting.
And he said, my driver ain't showed up. And I said, I got a guy who can fill that shoe.
So I jumped in the car and got to start the race and raced a little bit. So just an opportunity.
And I lost a crew chief out of that.
Yeah. But you got to be ready whenever it comes. At Homestead, I got to drive a car at Homestead one time, a Goody Stash car. We went down to help Gary Moore and his guys, and we were at the motel that night, and Gary came up and he said, what do you think about practicing and qualifying my backup car? And I said, Gary, I've never been on a speedway before. And he said, we'll get you through everything. He said, don't worry about it. I didn't have a driver suit, helmet, nothing. I've never been on anything bigger than a half mile. And this is when it still had the four corners, not like it is today. And we went back to the racetrack the next morning and went to work and scrounged around and found a helmet and a driving suit, and I got to practice. So that's as far as I got. One of the guys that was racing for championship actually crashed in the first practice, and Gary ended up renting his car that I was going to drive to him, so he could get points and race. But it was an opportunity that I got that I wouldn't have gotten in my whole life if I hadn't been there.
You remember who was pitted beside?
Yeah, Richard Petty.
Richard Petty,
Yeah.
his truck team.
Wow, that's cool. See, this is the stuff that I enjoy with this podcast, that you get to hear these awesome stories
Oh, yeah.
that, that need to be shared, in my opinion, to keep the history of racing,
Sure.
alive. I mean,
Sure.
it's just so much fun to hear this stuff. That
When did you go to Daytona?
Went to Daytona in 2000 or 99, and did a rookie test down there in a dash car. And that was another opportunity that I got, just, from being around the right people at the right time. And I've been very blessed through the years to be able to go to some of these racetracks. Wilkesboro is one of them. And just, like I say, just blessed to be able to go to some places. And even though I didn't get to race, I got to make laps and experience things that other people just dream about.
yeah, absolutely. So like the banking at Daytona, Slinger Speedway. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. You're in
I
Wisconsin.
watch it on YouTube a
Okay,
lot.
so-
I love to watch it. I love to watch
So-
them race.
I'm not kidding you. The banking there is similar to that as Daytona. It's
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
That'd be
You can be
awesome.
standing in the infield at the bottom,
Yeah.
and like the car is like way up here. It's
Wow.
nuts.
That is.
I guess that's why they call it the fastest
Yep.
quarter mile. So,
That
but
would be a blast.
yeah, it's that I would think would be. I got to drive my I had a Dodge Charger Daytona, a newer one,
Yeah.
that I got to drive on there for a car show, and my head was
Oh.
rested up against the window. I was like, holy crap, this is nuts. But yeah, I was just trying to think of how did that feel, being on that historic speedway, knowing all these great race car drivers had been on there.
Yeah.
Same thing with Bristol too. I mean, the same thing. How did that, I guess, make you guys feel like, to know that you've been on a racing surface that these legends in racing have also raced on, I guess?
Daytona is a special place. I first went there in 82, I think, or 83. It was the first year they downsized the Cup car, so I guess that was 81. That was my first year there. And it's always exciting when you get to go back and see the Speedway, because it is special. And like you say, to get to go out on the racetrack, and it was breathtaking the first lap or so. The really breathtaking part was doing the rookie class and getting in the minivan with Robert Huffman and another guy, and him driving 100 miles an hour,
Looking back.
and talking to you like you're going down the interstate, and you're trying to grasp everything you can while they're talking, and you're watching, and it's a lot. But then to go out and actually make laps at speed, when Gary Moore, he went out and took the car out first, and he said, all right, get in and don't lift. That's hard to do, but once you do it, it gets easier. And I was thrilled. I loved it. I took to it pretty quick, and like I say, I never got to go back and do it again. But I'm so glad I got to do that, and I remember every second of it still, just like it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Davey, with Bristol? What did you have any feelings or experience like that, like he did at Daytona?
Man, when I was going to run Bristol for the first time, I mean, I was pumped up all week. We drove in, and as you drove in the back gate and fell off, to go in the pits, man, it just sort of hits you and you're like, wow. I mean, it's just a half mile, but it's a intimidating looking half mile, and I mean, we done pretty good. I enjoyed it, and and then practices I was telling you about. Rusty Wallace had they had brand new Levitt cars, and it was Rusty and Ray Evernham, and I'd see them go out, and I'd jump in just so I could go practice with them. I mean, I could stick with them pretty good. I mean, I think there's some better equipment, but we wasn't too bad.
That's so awesome to say that, I got to be on the track at the same time as legend Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace. I mean, that not a lot of people can say that.
I was on the same track with Rusty Wallace, Ray Evernham, Jack Ingram, Kel Yarborough, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte. I can't remember all who was there, but
Well, Richard Petty, I'm assuming.
What?
Wasn't that the race you guys were pitted by?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
that was at Homestead. Yeah,
Oh, Homestead. Okay.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
Richard's first year that he had a truck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's pretty wild. I mean, we'd be trying to get in our garage there, and there'd be people just wanting his autograph, I mean, it's sort of a crowd to get in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of Richard Petty, the first year with his truck, I can't remember, was Rich Bickle his
Yep. Rich was
first
driving
trial?
for
Yeah.
him. Yep. Sure
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know Rich too through racing here in Wisconsin. Another
Yeah.
great guy. He's a character.
Yeah, and that was another good example of having an idol, I guess you want to call it, or whatever, with Richard. If he left the garage and went somewhere, he typically was signing an autograph every step of the way. They finally had to barricade off the section where we were at because they were getting so close they couldn't work. And about every 10 or 15 minutes, he would walk over to that barricade, sign autographs for 30 minutes, and then come back and work. Just that takes a lot of character to do that and make that time for the fans. And I've always admired that because not all drivers will do that.
No, they won't. A lot, and even at the grassroots level,
Yeah.
that's when I was part of the race team, we would have after the race, I would put kids into the car and let them sit in the car and stuff.
Yes.
And they'd be like, on cloud nine.
Yes.
I mean, that's the type of stuff where you are building a fan for the future of the sport.
Yes. As a child, that child will never forget that experience. Never.
Right.
And then that,
yep.
You can that.
You give them a poster or a hero card that's autographed,
yep.
or sign their flag, and I mean that was the cool stuff. Yep. That I got to see and be a part of, for sure. So I know you guys are busy, and I know time's limited, but I got a couple more questions for you guys.
Okay.
Social media, Davey, social media, how would somebody get a hold of you, follow you on social media sites if they wanted to?
Man, I'm not big on social media. I've got Facebook, and that's about it. I mean, just Davey Smart is all I go by. I don't
okay. What tracks do you race at then? If somebody wanted to watch you race live, what tracks would they find you at?
Well, I run Tri-County Speedway right now, mainly. I have run with Boo Carlisle's deal at Stars Super Stock Series. I'm running Anderson with him. I might run. Tate's want me to run a few more with him this year. I was hoping I'd get to go back to Wilkesboro, but I don't think they're going to go there. I think they're going to go South Boston. But either through that Stars Super Stock Tour or Tri-County Motor Speedway.
Okay. How about you, Bo? Social media or no?
I am not on social media. So Tri-County is where we'll race all our races this year, and looking forward to next year too. I've just tried to stay off of the social media stuff the last few years. I don't really try to promote myself as a marketing driver or whatever you want to call it. So I try to keep it simple and just go race and have a good time.
And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, that a lot of people, that's what they want to do, have fun,
Yeah.
Hang out with their friends at the track,
Yeah.
and that type of stuff. So,
Yeah.
How's your season going, Davey?
It's not been as good this year as it has been the last few years, but we've won 2 this year. Had a lot of stuff break. Broke a motor leading, broke a power steering pump leading. We wasn't leading, but I broke a trailing arm a couple weeks ago, and this past week we didn't do too good. But I mean, we're running. I think we've won 2, and we're running third in the points, and we're just trying to do the best we can, just have fun, get some more wins for the year's out.
How about you, Bo? How's your season going?
This is my first year back. I hadn't raced in probably 4 years, and this is my first year in a straight rail car. So learning, had a couple of DNFs just through some minor wrecks, and but I think we finished in the top 8 or 10 every race, and had some top 5. So just progressing along. I'm not going to say it's been a disappointing year because I've been happy every week, but still got some improvements on my end as a driver and learning the car. So I'm happy. I'm happy. Looking forward to next year, though.
You'll get a win this year. I feel
Yeah,
confident.
you just keep grinding, and the more seat time you have, the better you're going to do.
That's right. That's right.
That leads into the last question that I have for both of you gentlemen. So you guys both have a lot of experience in racing at different levels. What is your advice for a young person just getting into the sport of racing? Davey, I'll have you go first.
Well, every young person wants to just jump in and be the best that they can. I mean, and go straight to the top. Unless you got big money, that's really not going to happen. I mean, I've got friends like Shane Higgins. I mean, his son Ashton Higgins. I mean, they run, and Ashton is a great wheelman. I mean, he really is. But I mean, it just takes money at the level they're at now. I mean, it takes a lot of money to race. And like I told Shane, I said, this young and I'm racing, if he wants to race, great. If he wants to play golf, great. I'm not going to push him. But if he does want to race, I know I probably can't afford to move him up the ladder that fast. But I just, I tell him just, get what you can afford, like a street stock or Renegade. And I would just say do the best you can there and get wins and make memories, I mean, everybody wants to be the next Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon, but unless you got a lot of money behind you, it's hard to get there anymore.
Yeah, the sport's extremely expensive.
And I don't mean to down anybody's dreams, but I mean, if you want to race, like I told Bo before, if all we could afford was to race Volkswagens, I'm in, because I just love racing, So.
Yeah. And by the way, our podcast actually sponsors Ashton's car for his Cars Tour. Yeah. We're a minor sponsor for him. Unfortunately, he's had some engine issues the last I think 3 races or so. So hopefully, I just sent him a message today. Hopefully, trying to help him get an engine. Yeah. But what advice would you have for a young driver coming into the sport?
Try to be a sponge. If I'm a firm believer and always have been that racing, being a good race car driver is something I think that you're either born with or you're not born with. I've not ever seen many successful race car drivers that were taught how to drive race cars. It's just always came naturally. So I think if you have that natural talent, just try to learn as much as you can young, as far as I think it's still very important for these young guys and girls to know their race cars and know their equipment inside and out. I still think that makes a better driver. And then trying to, and this is more probably for the parents than the drivers, but finding the right people to help that driver along. Sometimes you have to sacrifice to build your own cars or race your own equipment, but sometimes you can take that money and put it toward getting them in someone else's cars that might be better at setting them up or getting them to the racetrack in better equipment. I think that right now, with the technology that's available, it's like we were talking before. I think the days of being your own team has passed. I think a young, successful driver has to be with a successful team to progress on up through the ranks.
Yeah, we just had last episode, we had Kylie Glick. She's a 14-year-old racer from Northern California. She races pro late models. She's just starting in that, and then junior late models at Madera Speedway. Yeah. And I think All American Speedway, I think that's the other one she races at, or up in California. And that's what her family did. That was for that reason. They went with a team, Nick Clower, who, like Jesse Love, I can't remember some of the other drivers that have gone through and progressed up the ladder, started out with them. So she is doing that, and she's a good young driver that is doing it the right way, where she's actually going to the shop, learning how to work on the car. I've always told people, I said, if you want to learn something from a cup driver or a race car driver that is amazing at giving feedback about how their car needs to be fixed or changed, is Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
I listened to his scanner, even though Kyle can be a little ornery at times.
Sure.
But the amount of feedback and the specific information that he is able to relay back to his crew chief is amazing.
Yeah.
And that would be, that's one suggestion I've always said, that if you want to listen to someone, listen to him.
Yeah.
And how he gives us feedback. I mean, when he's raced at the Slinger Nationals, he's actually working on his car with his team.
Yep.
You'll be underneath the car, changing a spring or a gear or whatever. That's like we all said, that's how you need to do. You need to get your hands dirty.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you don't know what the car is doing or how to fix it, how are you going to relay that information to your crew chief? So
exactly. Yeah.
But I really appreciate it, gentlemen. It's been fun.
Thank you, Robert.
I wish you guys both the best of luck the rest of this year. You guys are welcome to come back anytime, and you're part of the Area 51 Racing Podcast family now.
Sounds great.
So anytime you want to reach out or whatever, please feel free to. And you got Bobby's number, our host and stuff, so, or email.
Right.
So, but again, thank you, gentlemen, and we'll talk to you guys real soon again, and keep doing what you're doing.
All right, appreciate
it.
You
Have
too.
a good night, gentlemen.
All right,
take care.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great interview with Davey Smart and Bo Messer. True grassroots racers, true great guys. Really cool stories, some really good information that they shared tonight. I wish Bobby and Dave was able to be a part of the conversation. That was a lot of fun. But so what we did is combine segment 1 and 2. So segment 1 was Davey Smart, brought to you by Alliance Drive-Away Solutions, and segment 2 was Bo Messer, brought to you by Spartan Waste. But they both were combined tonight. So going on to segment 3, the Xfinity Series race recap for Jeremy Clements Racing at Michigan Speedway, brought to you by Action RV. Sorry about that. The Action RV race recap for Michigan for Jeremy Clements and the Xfinity Series. Practice, Jeremy's car, he was top of the leaderboard for a while in his first part of the practice. The field was divided up. His car got a little loose and he had to save it. At the end of the practice, they made some adjustments and ended up went out for qualifying, qualified 21st. I was not able to watch the race or listen to it as I was on vacation visiting my daughter in Arizona. And Bobby was actually at the race with the team and actually got to hold the pit sign for one of the first pit stops. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy that he was able to experience that, and wish I could have been there with Dave too as well. Unfortunately, like I said, I was in Arizona with my daughter and her family, and my daughter and her boyfriend and his family. Jeremy, stage 1, his car was really tight. He ended P36. They worked on the car. Stage 2, I should go back. At stage 1, at the end, there was rain. They had the cars come down and onto pit road, red flag. They got the track dried, went back out. Stage 2, he finished P25. And then ultimately, they kept working on the race, did a little strategy, and ultimately, Jeremy finished P15. Finally ended that bad streak of the bad luck. Finished P15. He's going to this week Daytona, track that he's won at, the Wawa 250 in 2022. So hopefully that's a good omen, and Jeremy will be able to park the number 51 all South electric one-stop convenience store Chevy Camaro in Victory Lane this weekend. Also, there was a recent post, I can't remember who posted on social media, but at the Darlington race, Jeremy will have completed 452 consecutive races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. That is unbelievable accomplishment, true Ironman, and it says a lot about his commitment to not only his team, but also to his partners and sponsors and his fans, and also the sport. So congratulations, Jug, on that upcoming huge accomplishment. Definitely pulling for you this weekend at Daytona. I know that's one of your tracks you like, and you're good at that track. So let's go kick some ass, buddy. Going on to the next thing, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Sorry, I wasn't the normal show with the Cap Houston intro, and it's not going to be the normal ending with the Boost Pops jingle because I'm not computer savvy like Bobby is. But our next show will be on Tuesday, August 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Remember, you can also watch our podcast live on our YouTube channel or listen to it at any time on the free Podbean app. Just click on the Area 51 Racing Podcast logo on Podbean, on the Podbean app to listen. If you like our podcast, please share with your friends and family and like and subscribe to our YouTube page, or I should say channel. I'm sorry. Please also check out our social media sites on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Area 51 Racing Podcast. Reminder, if you have not done so yet, check out stickygears.com and purchase one of our Area 51 Racing Podcast t-shirts for $15. Portion of that money goes back directly to Jeremy Clements Racing to keep Jeremy Clements and his race car and team on the track. Also, please check out Anna Moore Designs LLC for more Area 51 Racing Podcast merchandise, such as tumblers like this one. Also, stickers, garden flag like the one right over there. The stickers, we do now have the small 3-inch stickers. If you want one, get a hold of Bobby. The larger stickers are $8. The 3-inch ones are $4 each. We appreciate everybody that has already purchased stickers. We sold out of the bigger ones pretty quick, so we greatly appreciate that and the support from everyone. Also, support Gale Beard Products. They are one of our partners in the official beard product of Area 51 Racing Podcast. Their products are some of the best on the market, and they make your beard look good and nice and smooth, and makes it smell good as well. When you go and place an order on galebeard.com, at checkout, enter the discount code Area 51 and get 15% off your order and free shipping. And remember, guys, make them say Gale. Check out the Racing Warehouse website for several new Jeremy Clements hats that they recently have released from their apparel company, Armadillo Apparel. Also check them out for any sheet metal, diecast, or other racing memorabilia that you may be looking for. And then I'd like to thank all our partners who help make this podcast reality and possible every week. Spartan Waste, 98.3 FM Fox Sports Spartanburg, Impel Union, Alliance Drive-Away Solutions, First Pacific Funding, Elite Towing and Recovery, Whitetail Smokeless, Fly Form Concrete Structures, Runner's Roost, Matman Designs, Action RV, Moose Pops, Nordic Logistics, Wings, etc., Anna Moore Designs, Gale, Sherfick Companies, High Speed Auto, and of course, Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing. None of this would be possible without any of you guys and gals. We greatly appreciate it. And also, shout out to our listeners and viewers. We greatly appreciate the support. Again, I thank you for tuning in. My name is Rob, and have a great week. Go Jeremy Clements Racing at Daytona. Let's get a big W this week, buddy. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Rob's out. Peace.